Hello and welcome to today's video. So in this one, I'm going to be printing off and painting up some of these miniatures from the latest Kickstarter by Aether and Alchemist. Now, full disclosure, they did send me these over free of charge to get them printed and get them painted and just have a little bit of fun with and let you know my thoughts on some of these characters that are in this Kickstarter. So the World of Titara Epic Miniatures, Magic and Adventures is the first Kickstarter by Aether and Alchemist, and it gives you over 35 3D printable miniatures with 5 D&D 5e adventures, lore, maps and stat sheets as well. There's also going to be some options as well to get your hands on physically printed miniatures as well, along with some painted ones. So if you're in the market for that and you don't have a 3D printer, there should be something there as well for you. And when they first got in contact with me to ask me if I wanted to be involved in maybe just kind of giving my thoughts on the Kickstarter, I wasn't massively interested just because I get sent so many different models and there's just so much for me to kind of get through. But these ones, when they sent me over all like the renders and stuff that they were working on, I really like the look of them because unlike a lot of them where there's just a set of a specific type, and I guess a lot of the time they're styled on like Games Workshop, which again, I really like, there's nothing wrong with that, or they're styled on something that's really ultra realistic, especially when it comes to the D&D space, which again is fantastic, but there's just so much of it out there. But when they showed me these, I really liked what I was seeing because they're random. They're like really, really random. For example, I have this bear warrior with a massive axe and he's just random on his own. And then you've got like Father Turtle, which is really cool. And you've got this like dwarven warrior with robotic claw hand. It's like they all fit really randomly. So instead of being a set of D&D miniatures that may be part of just one campaign, you've got loads of different, I suppose, random characters that will fit into different places and I guess part of their adventures as they come out. The other thing that I really like about these miniatures is the styling of them. So they're all very characterful, if that's a word. I think I might have just made that up, but they've got a lot of character to them. That's probably a better way of putting it. And then the fact that it's not like I am just dwarf warrior, ultra realistic, you know, standard, normal, realistic scale and everything. They're kind of Warcrafty without being too Warcrafty, if you get my drift. So there's a cartoony vibe to them. They've got these, I suppose, more heroic proportions. So for the painting side of things, they're a lot of fun, but a lot of detail has gone into them as well. Now, you can do these either pre-supported or unsupported. And one thing I'll say right off the bat is the scale for me was just a little bit too small. Now, this is, again, it's going to be a preference thing. For D&D players, the scale makes so much sense. So whenever I do any kind of D&D stuff, I always moan that the scale is too small for me, but that's just a preference. So I scaled them up. Good thing about these is I scaled some of them up to 114% whilst keeping them on their pre-support, so I had no failures, which is a bonus. And I also scaled some of them up to 125% because I thought it would make them look a bit more epic in terms of being like boss-like and everything else. And again, had no failures on that. So if you are somebody like me who can get a bit fussy about scale and likes their miniatures to be a little bit bigger, these work really nicely. They also come with a base to match as well. So you'll get your miniature, you get the base that they go on, and they're not multi-part or anything like that. So they are in their one mono post. So if that is something that bothers you, just something to bear in mind. But the good thing is it means they print off in one thing. So you pull them off the supports and they are ready to go. Along with all of these, I guess they're standard miniatures that are going to be used as like characters and maybe some enemies in the game. You'll also get some really big beasties, and they do come off in multi-part because they're so big. So you print them all off in the different parts and stick them all together. There's some really interesting things in there that you can be able to play with, like this big demon, this big like tree robot-y thing as well. I've not printed him, but I definitely want to because it looks really interesting. The other thing I'll say about these is that although they've got these really nice characteristics and everything else, they're really detailed. So when I mentioned earlier about them being, I suppose, a little bit more towards that cartoony scale, which I really like, they also have a lot of realistic stuff on there. Like their expressions and everything aren't goofy. Their eyes are normal scale, so they don't have like massive bug eyes or anything else. And it's like on this bear, for example, on his axe, he has these almost like patterns on the top of it. It's sort of like sigil or something like that. And on his armor, he's got all of these really, really fine details that are like etched into the metal. It looks really, really good. And it helps to blend that sort of almost cartoony, unrealistic element. And it blends it really nicely with that realistic element. And it doesn't look out of place. It's not like I look at this and go, yeah, but he looks almost cartoony. His proportions are maybe a little bit wrong. It works. It works really nicely. I've got to say, I've really enjoyed this. My favorite so far has been this. I branded it Hell's Angel, but I don't think it is. So to get the effect that I wanted to tint the wings blue. And my airbrush had very different ideas. So when I hit it with the blue, it went mental and basically became blue. And I had this kind of part blue. It was almost like I'd done the Zenithal Prime on it, and then part of it was already blue, and I didn't know what to do. So then I went in with some red ink afterwards, and I mixed it. So it's almost like a Zenithal from the top and the bottom. Top was blue, bottom was red, and it's done this really nice blending. It's a really nice pose. And this one is a more realistic scale. So they've got some stuff in there that is more realistic proportions, and then you've got stuff like this dwarf guy who is, I suppose, less realistic in terms of proportions, more like a heroic scale type thing. So they work really nicely together. So it's not as though I look at those and go, well, actually, he's, you know, from a different set and she's from a different set. Together, because of the way the detail's done, and I'm kind of just jabbering on right now, but they work very nicely together. So it's a really impressive little set. So all in all, I've been really impressed with what I've seen from this set. There's some really good stuff. So once that Kickstarter launches, I'll have a link below. Make sure you're heading over there, at least check them out, give them some support. It's a really fun set, some fantastic sculpted bases, some really, really well-detailed models. Depending on what sort of thing you're looking to paint, I've had a lot of fun here. There's a lot of different stuff. There's a whole range of it, so it's not like you're going to get 20 goblins that you then need to paint through. So it's all different, so there's a really good variation. So for me, it's been fun just to kind of challenge some of my painting stuff. So I've got all the skin on like the dwarf guy. Then on the bear, you've got all this armor that I was going back in and highlighting. And then on my Hell's Angel thing that I made, I was playing with the airbrush and absolutely messed that up. But it gets to challenge your painting as well. So if you're into that, it's fantastic. They all look really good in terms of game pieces as well, so fit in with other games that maybe you're playing. And obviously then you'll get the adventures that come with it. So check them out. I'll have some more videos coming up as well where I go through some different painting techniques that I've been using, like on the bear to get the armor that I've been using, and just painting some of the models from this set and just going through my process for that and trying a few different techniques that I don't normally use. So let's see how that turns out. I'll also probably end up caving and using the Saturn II to print off something big from this set, because it seems stupid not to. When you get big models, you've just got to print them because, yeah, space isn't a limiting factor, apparently, he says very confidently. So thanks for watching that video. Make sure you check out Aether and Alchemist's latest Kickstarter. It looks like a really good fun one. I've had a lot of fun with it, and hopefully you guys will too. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you've had a look at the set as well, and there's anything in there that I haven't painted, then let me know and I will get that painted up and potentially do a painting video for you. So in the meantime, hit that like and subscribe button. Really helps the channel to grow. If you bash that like button, it just shows it to more people and hopefully they like it as well. If you stay to the end, then you must have liked it. Either that or you're some kind of masochist, but who knows? Maybe you are. Also, subscribing just helps the channel to grow, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.